This slide illustrates the overview of ICH Q12 implementation in Japan. As you know, ICH Q12 discussion was started in 2014 and it reached ICH consensus in November 2019. In Japan, Q12 guideline was published on 29th of October in 2021, which means the ICH Q12 reached step 5 in Japan. During this process, we have addressed some major challenges. For example, we didn't have a PCAMP system, but we have overcome this through the PCAMP pilot program, as well as the revision of our role. In my presentation, I'd like to share with you some major milestones of the achievement. This is the outline of my presentation. Before going into detail, let me briefly explain the post-approval CMC changes in Japan. Like other regions, including US, EU, and other, as well as other regions, we also have risk-based reporting categories. One of the unique aspects is that there are few different reporting category types compared to other regions. More specifically, we don't have a moderate so-called tail and do categories such as CBE30 in US and Type 1B in EU. In addition, we don't have a lowest category such as the annual report in US and Type 1A variation in EU. The reason we don't have the lowest category is that I think it's linked to the fact that the scope requiring post-approval changes varied from other regions. As you can see in the right-hand side, in Japan, the approval matter in application form located in module 1.2 is legally binding, and any change to it necessitated post-approval submission. The other background is the regulatory framework in Japan. This slide illustrates the Japanese regulatory framework in terms of pharmaceutical affairs. The most prominent regulation is Pharmaceutical and Medical Devices Act. The former name is legacy, so here I will call it the PMDA Act. PMDA Act was established in 1916 and has been revised periodically. The most recent revision was in 2019, and the subsequent regulation or guideline has been revised accordingly. The purpose of the revision in 2019 was quite extensive, as you can see here. There are three major pillars, and of these, the first pillar, modernized regulation throughout product life cycle, is relevant to today's topic. One of the most significant revision in terms of Q12 implementation was that of enforcement regulation. The Article 47 in the regulation provides us with high-level description on the kind of post-approval changes that require prior approvals. To be more precise, the changes listed in this article need prior approval if a change is required. In my view, this will incorporate risk-based concept, except for this second point. If you look at it, you may think that every change in specification needs prior approval in Japan. This is not true from a practical point of view. I mean, we have published several notifications to inform which changes in specification can be executed with a minor change notification. Additionally, PMDA has a consultation system to offer an opportunity to agree with the minor change notification for the change in specification. However, this article has been controversial owing to such regulation. Then the MHW decided to delete this item when the PMDA Act was amended. I will elaborate more on this point. The guideline and the question and answer document published in 2021 provide further details. They specify the kind of changes that can be classified as minor change notification and offer a few concrete examples of description in specification section. The other key update is the division of GMP. This has been discussed separately from the PMDA Act revision, but it has been implemented around the same time. As the scope of the revision was extensive, let me focus on a few critical aspects relevant to Q12 implementation. Although PQS has already been introduced in Japan, it was defined at a guideline level. We have then incorporated PQS into a higher regulation to be thorough. The discrepancy between actual manufacturing and Japanese application form has been one of the most serious issues to be addressed. The causes of this issue is multifactorial, but I'm sure inappropriate change management is one of the major issues. I'm not sure if the issue can be resolved only by addressing it in the regulation. However, the importance of compliance with approved matter has been emphasized in the revised GMP. Now, let me talk about specific regulatory tool in ICH Q12 guideline, which is the PCAMP, and this is the topic for this workshop. As I mentioned before, we didn't have this tool, and we realized at an early stage that this would be one of the biggest challenges for us to implement Q12 in Japan. So therefore, as a first step, we initiated a PCAMP pilot program from April 2018. The purpose of this pilot was to better understand PCAMP through the actual examples and identified any regulatory issues to be addressed for future Q12 implementation. We used the existing PMDA consultation system for this pilot program. I will not explain in detail. This is because the pilot program was ended in 2021 when the former PCAMP systems was started. The outcome of the pilot is as shown in the right hand side. We received 15 consultations, and most of the products are therapeutic protein. In terms of the proposed changes, most of them are the addition of manufacturing site with or without manufacturing process changes. In my understanding, this trend is quite in line with the one in US and the EU. In next few slides, I will talk about legislated PCAMP, which has been started from August 2021. This slide depicts the legal binding of PCAMP in Japan. Although I'm not going into further detail, these regulations define the scope, procedures, timeline, and the fees. This slide focuses on the pharmaceutical, drug, and cosmetic, but the other article defined the PSMP for regenerative medicine. So you are also able to use PSMP for regenerative medicine in Japan. The MHLW published the implementation guideline in June of 2021. So today, I would like to give you a flavor of the PSMP in Japan by introducing the guideline. The guideline was published on 16th of June in 2021. Apologies for busy slide, but this illustration is from guideline attachment. The guideline, the process is quite in line with Q12 guideline in general. Left-hand side of the figure represent so-called step 1 of PSMP, which is the agreement of the strategy between PMDA and the applicant. We provide the processes for making a change in confirmed PSMP. Depending on the change, you may use either application or notification. During the PCAMP development in Japan, we learned from our US and EU regulator that some changes will need GMP inspection prior to PCAMP execution, and therefore we also created a process to conduct GMP inspection if needed, as shown in the middle part. Right-hand side of the figure illustrates so-called step 2, where marketing authorization folder or MAH submit the result and the data generated according to the protocol. All changes are based on the PSMP. I'll go through this new notification process. I would like to highlight that this is different from the existing minor change notification. As for the timeline of step 2, we set either 40 or 20 working days. This slide illustrates some key aspects compared to the pilot program. First of all, as for the scope, it has been expanded. For the time being, changes in master file are excluded. This is because we need to further develop a detailed process considering the complexity of the process among MAH master file holders and MHLW and PMDA. Regarding the step 1, new process called application for confirmation of PSMP has been established. Timeline of step 1 is generally the same as the normal prior approval application. The maximum request we received during a pilot is PSMP submission in marketing authorization application or MAA. So you are now able to do so in registered PSMP, but from a procedure point of view, you need a PSMP application separate from the MAA. And the application timing should be consulted with the assessor. Regarding the GMP, prefecture inspectorate are in charge of some GMP inspection in Japan. The scope of the pilot program was limited to the changes. Those inspection is executed by PMDA if a GMP inspection is required. The registered PSMP also expanded this scope. Step 2 timeline, as I mentioned, either 40 or 20 working days. For 20 working days, you need to meet both of the following conditions. Firstly, There is no notification for minor changes since last confirmed PCAMP. Next, there is no minor change notification in relevant approved matter since last approval. The reason for having two scenarios is that in Japan, the minor change notification is confirmed by regulators when the next partial change application is submitted. So if we have any minor change notification in either application form or PCAMP, we need to assess it at step 2 of PCAMP, which takes some additional time compared with the situation where there is no minor change notification. Now, I'd like to share with you some lessons learned from the pilot program and ongoing pre-submission meeting, which is recommended to use before submitting legislated PCAMP. The first is the scope of one PCAMP. ICH Q12 described that if the protocol describes the several changes for particular product, a justification should be added showing how the changes are related and that inclusion in a single protocol is appropriate. However, in practice, what changes can be included in one PCAMP? As a single example, it's understandable that the company can include some manufacturing changes into site transfer PCAMP as the simultaneous review under a single protocol is meaningful. But what if the site transfer includes some changes in analytical procedure? A site transfer is sometimes carried out together with some changes in analytical procedure, and it may happen, I think. In this scenario, can we accept these changes as one PCAMP? At this point in time, PMDA think it cannot be dealt with one PCAMP. This is because these two changes cannot be assessed simultaneously. I mean, one is to assess the impact of manufacturing changes on product quality, and the other is to assess the change of the analytical procedure. This is based on our current experiments, but we will adjust as we gain our experiment on PCAMP. Next is the level of the proposed changes and the proposed acceptance criteria for each test or study at the time of the step 1 submission. It may be very challenging to fix all relevant information for future changes. So we need to continue to think what the appropriate level of the detail for proposed changes and acceptance criteria for the evaluation for the changes. Last but not least, we have established a well-designed system, but we sometimes face some unexpected situation, and we need to reflect these and improve our procedure as needed. Although we have successfully published ICH Q12 guideline in Japan, there remain some major challenges as listed here. These will be also important for harmonized implementation across region, and therefore let me share with you these challenges. Effective PQS, including change management, is prerequisite, but how we can foster PQS in pharmaceutical sector? Established condition and their associated reporting category are of paramount importance in Q12, but I'm not certain we are ready for implementation in, for example, in manufacturing process where we have been discussing for a long time. For example, what is the difference between the criticality assessment and the risk assessment? I just mentioned that effective PKS is the critical, but I'm not sure if PQS maturity reduce the detail of established conditions. Even if each region has risk-based reporting category system, I'm afraid we may have different perspective on the appropriate level of risk tolerance for regulators. That may lead to divergent established condition and reporting category across region. In addition, considering the current reporting category system in all region or in all ICH region, it may be very challenging to have unified established condition and their reporting category across region in practice. Today, we have I've introduced a PCAMP in Japan, but the PCAMP may be a brand new system for most regulators, except EU and the US. So both regulators and the industry need to get accustomed to PCAMP, and after its introduction in practice in each region, we should continuously improve it as needed. I did not elaborate much on the product lifecycle management document today. However, the way we can develop a harmonized document across regions should be discussed should be discussed. So the question is, how should we address these challenges? I don't have a short and straightforward answer, but I would say prospective and continuous dialogue with stakeholders and continual improvement for regulation or guidelines are enabler to move forward. In the beginning of my presentation, I showed the overview of the ICH Q12 implementation in Japan. I believe our success is based on the behind-the-scenes preparations, which include the collaboration with stakeholders. We have formed the integrated project team within the PMDA in 2015 to discuss regulatory, technical, and practical issues surrounding post-approval CMC changes. Apart from assessors and the inspectors, management level are also involved in this working group. We also asked the research group to support MHLW PMDA activity just after ICH Q12 was initiated. This research group comprises academia, industry, and regulators. And for PMDA, this is a very good opportunity to discuss with industry colleagues while separating from daily work and maintaining transparency. The last activity is the task force, which was established in 2016. FPMAJ is the Federation of Pharmaceutical Manufacturers Association of Japan. Almost all industry associations, including JPMA, Pharma, FPL, Generic and Biosimilars Association, joined this organization. The purpose of this task force is to streamline the regulatory procedure for post-approval CMC changes. This task force was driven by domestic issues, but the discussion here contributed to PCAMP pilot program and the revision of PMDA Act. This is a summary of my presentation. ICH Q12 guideline reached step 5 in Japan, and the PMDA has addressed some major challenges to implement Q12 guideline in collaboration with stakeholders and prospective and continuous communication dialogue among stakeholders, and continual improvement of our own regulation guideline of great importance for Q12 implementation. That's all my presentation, and Last but not least, I would like to take the time to thank many colleagues who have been engaging in the discussion toward Q12 implementation. That's all. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Dr. Kishioka. That was a great presentation. We were able to hear the Japan's experiences in Q12 implementation. I would like to now open the floor for Q&A if anyone has. Dr. Kishioka, are you here with us in Japan? Are you participating from Japan? Yes?
Yeah, I'm joining.
I see. Okay. All right. So there is one question. Is GMP inspection required for every application for PACMP, or GMP inspection history can be considered? That is the question. Dr. Kishioka?
Yeah, thanks for the question. It's a very good question. GMP inspection is not always required. It depends on the changes. For example, some changes it may not affect control manufacture of product. GMP inspection is not required. And then, yeah, of course, when we think about the need for the GMP inspection, of course, our assessor consider the GMP inspection history, but our GMP inspection sometimes need to check not only entire GMP system, but also the each manufacturing of the manufacturing of each product. So taking all into consideration, we will judge whether or not GMP inspection is needed. Over.
Okay, thank you.